Joining me live from Singapore is our senior international correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran. Ramesh, lots more activity lined up in Singapore as Trump will meet the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. That will be a historic moment. But what has happened at the G7 summit is inconclusive.
Well, Jessica, good morning. I'm coming to you from the hotel very close to the Capella Hotel, which is the venue of the Trump-Kim meeting here in Singapore on Tuesday morning. And as we're speaking, both leaders, Kim Jong-un of North Korea and Donald Trump of the US, are making their way to Singapore for the Tuesday morning's summit. And we'll get you the visuals in a bit, but we were driving away, making our way from the airport to a hotel. And on the way, we sort of drove by the Capella Hotel. Things looked very sedate, very subdued there, but we could see a whole posse of journalists waiting outside the main gate of the hotel, waiting to catch a glimpse of what is happening inside. We're given to understand the tight security is in place for the much anticipated meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. And all across the road from the airport to the hotel here on Sentosa Island, we could see the North Korean flags, the American flags, and the Singaporean flags at key vantage points across the city. So in all, the sense one gets is that Singapore is prepared, braced for the Tuesday morning summit between the two principals. The first time any sitting American president will be meeting a North Korean leader. Jessica?
Right, and Ramesh, where you are, there will be soon lots of activity around that hotel as well. And of course, you've been telling us that there are many journalists lined up outside. How is Singapore prepared for this? Of course, the security is tight, but how does the city respond to the security arrangements and maybe the kind of situation that Singapore is seeing right now? This is historic, and even many Singaporeans say this will boost their tourism in many ways.
Indeed, if you look at the recent events in the Korean history, Jessica, we had the April Inter-Korean summit between the two leaders, Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in, at the demilitarized zone that separates North from South. And then came the big news of a Trump meeting Kim Jong-un here in Singapore. Now, that said, 3,000 plus journalists expected to descend upon Singapore in this next couple of days for that much anticipated summit between Trump and Kim. But that said, here in Singapore, many people are wondering why Singapore. Now, Singapore is seen to be a neutral country, a neutral state in the Korean affairs, one that has diplomatic ties with both North Korea and the US. Remember, Singapore has a non-resident mission in Pyongyang. Their ambassador is based out of Beijing, but he's accredited to the North Korean government. Also, the fact is Singapore is seen as a very secure location for the high-profile meetings, such as the Trump-Kim meeting. So, all in all, Singapore, they say, is best suited for such a meeting. Also, the fact that this was the nearest location to Pyongyang where Kim Jong-un could have traveled by air. Remember, there were many of the locations being considered: Sweden, Switzerland, Mongolia, but all those fell by the wayside as Singapore emerged as the key location, which was agreed to by both Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. So as we're speaking, Jessica, both leaders, Donald Trump is making his way to Singapore from the G7 summit in Canada, and Kim Jong-un is making his way from Pyongyang to Singapore for the Tuesday morning summit.
Ramesh, the whole setup and the whole decision of both leaders meeting off again, on again is the kind of terminology we're using for both of them, and they're finally meeting. Lots is expected from this meeting, but many say that there will be no conclusion reached, and for some this is in fact a good sign that the two leaders in fact meet and sit down on a table and discuss things and clear the air. What are you picking up from people out there as to what their thoughts are on this meet?
Indeed, that's the key question confronting both countries, North Korea and the US. Now, we've seen in the lead up to this summit, Donald Trump insisting on complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization, which means that North Korea must voluntarily give up all its weapons program. Now, North Korea, for its part, says it is not, it agrees in principle to global disarmament, but that it will happen in phases, not immediately. So the difference lies, Trump wants everything done here and now immediately, but North Korea says it will happen eventually in a phased manner. So that's the big issue. That is, the difference between North Korea and the US in the lead up to this summit. But that said, Trump has backtracked from his position in recent days, Jessica, when he said that he agrees that this is a first in a series of meetings that are planned. It's part of a process that one can not expect everything to happen in one sitting, in one meeting here on the 12th of June in Singapore. So Trump also understands that this should be seen as a work in progress, a part of a process whereby both countries can have a confidence in each other going forward and work out a way around the issue of nuclear weapons.
Ramesh, work in progress, sure, we understand, that is going to happen, but even when it comes to Trump's policies, flip-flops, even his statements backtracked and then again praising Kim Jong-un, once calling him a rocket man and then saying that we will both be discussing on various agendas, especially the denuclearization. So what exactly happens here? Because Donald Trump, as a leader of the United States, or the president of the United States, is very unpredictable, and so is Kim Jong-un.
Absolutely. You couldn't have put it better, Jessica. The two principals, the two leaders in question, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, are two unorthodox, unconventional, unpredictable politicians and temperamental, some would say. And it's very difficult to second guess what these two leaders will do when they meet here in Singapore on the Tuesday morning, just barely a half a kilometer away from where I'm standing at the Capella Hotel here in Singapore on Sentosa Island. Now, that said, we have seen Trump and Kim Jong-un calling each other names, trying to sort of heighten the rhetoric, so to speak. But of late, we've seen both sides calm down, have a more subdued, balanced, reasoned approach, whereby they see it as part of a process towards eventual rapprochement between North Korea and the U.S. Remember, North Korea and the U.S. have not had diplomatic ties for almost 70 years now, and this will be the first time any sitting American president will be meeting a North Korean leader in a third location such as Singapore. So the stakes are very high. It remains to be seen whether these two leaders can bridge those gaps going forward. But as I say, one can never second guess what these two leaders will decide on the 12th morning here in Singapore. So one has to wait and watch for the joint statement or separate statements to be issued by both Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un.
Well, thank you, Ramesh. It certainly is going to be a good guest day, but hope that things work out for both the leaders and their countries. Thank you, Ramesh. Chandan, we'll come back to you again throughout the day.